It is Carnival Tuesday in the small 13 square miles island of Carriacou. The streets are overflowing with spectators, many dancing to the festive music pulsating through the small town as colorful carnival masqueraders take center stage. Like it is with almost every other Caribbean island and their particular celebrations, the most unique aspect of Carriacou Carnival is Shakespeare Mass.
Prayer. If I could pray to move, prayer would move me. Prayer. But I am constant as a northern star.
A masquerade that was originated in Carriacou as part of its cultural expressions. The mass, with its brightly dressed massmen reciting speeches from the works of William Shakespeare, can only be seen on this small island in the Grenadines during the annual carnival celebrations.
We are the only place in the world that is portraying that mass today, to date. Greece does it. For a little bio, Greece is the only place in the world that does the Shakespeare, but not as how we do it in Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
Despite the English origin of the speeches recited by these massmen, its origin in Carriacou is not in doubt, and Carriacou is the only place in the world where one can experience this incredibly beautiful and competitive speech mass.
And by tonight, folks, you guys have two of the greatest Shakespeareans on stage right here. Mr. Akeem Chico on guitar. He's a great Shakespeare man. Mr. Jeremiah John, he's here. Jerry, touch a line for us, man.
Who comes here? The friends of Anthony.
I said, brave boy.
Just Brutus did my master didn't well.
Brave man.
Just the Mark Anthony baby fell down.
Brave boy.
It was straight just.
Jeremiah John, my third son, he loved playing Shakespeare Mass. And I love it too. But the only thing I can see it, I cannot see it. But I love it. Around 30 years ago, I started sewing his mass clothes, Shakespeare mass clothes. I sew shorts and petticoats.
There is someone at each mass camp to skillfully dress the massmen, which includes tying the crowns so that it will not fall easily during the performances.
But the most important thing is to hold the crown.
Yes.
Yeah. This is the tying of the cutter. We're talking Shakespeare.
That's right. You know something though.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now this is your crown. Made from cement baggers, we demonstrate, starched with cassava starch, boiled naturally.
The first mass to leave the mass camp is the peacemaker. He gracefully journeys to the meeting up point, reciting speeches loudly to summon the villagers who are still in their homes. The massmen are usually dressed at the highest point in every village so they can be seen and heard from a distance as they descend into the waiting crowds.
In the case I die,
Brave man.
bury me under that stipple of spons and chapulous.
Brave man.
Mark on my doom. Mother's best of billion son.
Brave man.
Who die in the plains of war.
Brave man.
Ladies and gents.
Brave man.
Yeah, well.
A large crowd already waiting. The peacemaker, together with the backers, will position themselves between the masked men. The backers are usually strong individuals in the community who assist in dressing the masked men and putting peace if things get out of control.
And the other opponent sit there and they clash, with the two fists and then the backers. comes in.
You call that the Pero Mass.
Pero Mass, man. Yeah, they come in and you separate. You call the peacemaker first
and
king.
the second king.
Of course.
The second king,
Yes,
peacemaker,
man.
and
Yeah,
then
man.
the Pero Mass
And Pero
come.
Mass come in. There we go.
And then we come and we start mix.
Say no more.
If you can say it,
You get it.
The peacemaker is followed by other massmen as they descend towards the meeting point. The last massman to leave the camp is the king, who is usually the strongest of all the massmen in each group and knows the most pitches, as pitches should not be repeated. Preceding him is the second king, whose role is to support the king. These roles are usually decided at the Sunday night Cambole festivities. Once they finish performing the mass in their village, the group of massmen and their supporters travel through other villages and ending in the town of Hillsborough, where the meeting up of the different groups takes place in front of hundreds of spectators. Historically, the competitions between the groups of villages were often fierce and violent, which has changed recently to include more speeches.
Nowadays, what they do, when band and you come, you know we on top this side, they meet in the market square, you take one mass up and right, take one from the around the top, but wasn't that before? They're fighting before.
So they did not used to say the speech before?
No, when they go in tongue and no speech, they just go down in tongue to fight.
Okay, so it has changed.
You pray your mass in the village.
So do you know what brought about the change in our...
No, I tell the people get so friendly and more civilized then.
Many training programs have been held to date which aims to preserve Shakespeare Mass. Miss Fitlin George from Harveyville has and continues to train students since 2015.
Called the parents of the children and I spoke to them and I said, this is what I want to do, this, that. And they said, no problem, yes. I said, the children will come by me and I'll give them the piece to do and they'll come off and on to practice. So we'll do that next year. We are going to go on the street.
Mr. Glenroy Bostwin is currently training children from the primary and secondary schools in Carriacou.
It does go to schools, different schools, and train the kids on the mass.
Is it just primary or secondary? What schools?
Both primary and secondary schools.
I actually played Shakespeare Mass for 7 years. Well, it all started when I was in Mount Pleasant Primary School, and Miss Jennifer Duncan. She came on and she was talking about this and I just say, let me try our culture. When I just started, I had a partner. And then she used to recite with him, but when I go home I look in the mirror and I just
Okay, so for someone who wants to portray Shakespeare Mass or perform Shakespeare Mass, what would you advise them to do? A young lady just like you.
Well, I would advise them is a good thing. You learn in the culture, you keeping the culture alive. And Shakespeare Mass bring out something new that you never knew you had before.
These communities are working closely with government partners such as the Grenada Tourism Authority and the Carriacou Historical Society to train students to improve their performance and participation in the local activities.
Well, I came one year and there was a few masks and I get her to make some clothes. I pay for it, I bring the cloth. And after when she get older, she couldn't do it again. I get Halsey, that's my first cousin, that's on this. She taught Halsey how to make the clothes.
Okay.
And Halsey make some from, I bring about 15. I give half to 6 Road and half to Montreal. Because tourists come, the country benefits.
Tell us about tourists coming. Do a lot of tourists come?
A lot of people coming in. The last carnival we have, when I see people, so even Trinidadian live in Trinidad and come here.
This is purely Carriacou Mass at the best.
Gentlemen, the